Hi, everyone. I am so excited today for you to join me on the Teen Anxiety Maze because I have a client with me today. And I've had one episode probably a year ago where a client came on, but this client is pretty special to me because she has been with me for 3 years. And so you can really see the changes that somebody could make in 3 years. And so I'm think that she's the perfect person to talk to today because it will really help you to see what it's like to work with me, and I think that's really important. So today I have Izzy with me, and she lives in Florida, and I'll let her tell you a little bit more about herself. But I am so excited for you to meet her, and then I'm going to ask her all sorts of questions about what it's like to work with me. So, Izzy, welcome to the program.
Yeah, how are you?
I am so good. So tell us a little bit about like your grade and where you live. I mean, you don't have to be super specific about where you live, but and just let a little bit about what you're doing in school right now.
I'm in 10th grade. I'm a sophomore. Ugh, in school, I don't really know.
I am so glad that you're with us. Thank you so much. Okay. So 3 years ago, when your parents reached out to me and wanted a teen coach for their daughter, I'm sure that they probably were just telling you, "Hey, we want you to work with someone," and you're like, "What does this mean?" And I totally get that. So tell me first of all, and be honest, how did you feel when your parents were like, "Hey, we want you to work with a teen coach?"
I mean, I didn't really want to. I didn't really feel like talking to a stranger about how I'm feeling. And to be honest, I didn't really think that I needed the help. And then, like, I just kind of blew it off. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll talk to whatever. But then they were like, okay, your meeting's now. And I'm just like, oh, that was for real. Okay. And then as soon as I got on the call with you, I mean, I just felt like that's where I needed to be. Because I'm usually like with strangers, I'm usually very shy. I don't really open up that much. But it was like as soon as I got on the call with you, I was like, okay, this isn't that bad. Like, I just felt like I could tell you everything that was happening and going on. And it was a really comforting and safe place for me. So I didn't feel like you were going to judge me or you weren't going to like, say anything that was going to offend me, really. Like, I mean, you told me the truth, and I think I needed to hear it, but it wasn't anything harsh, and I felt like I could open up and just say a lot.
Mm. Well, that's something that I think a lot of young people probably want to know. The stuff that you talk about is confidential. I don't tell your parents what we talk about. Now, I may give them a summary about, like, oh, Izzy and I are working on this, or this is something that maybe your family can work on, or something like that. But the secrets of your life, or the things that you're working on, and the things you wouldn't want them to know, like when you're mad at them, or things that your friends are doing or whatever, I don't tell them any of that stuff. And I think that that is probably I think a lot of young people probably worry about that, like, "Oh, does she just report back to my parents about everything that I'm doing?" And I know that some people might worry like, "Oh, is this just like talking to my teacher, or is this just like talking to my parents?" What would you say to them?
I honestly, I would say no. It's
Mhm.
literally, it's like talking to just an adult who cares about you and who wants to be there, but not in a teacher-like way. They don't punish you if you say something that like is wrong, or they don't like you don't judge me or anything like that. Like it's basically like talking to a family member, but like confidential, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah. I used to tell my students when I worked in school that I'm kinda like a surrogate parent, like I am parent-like because
yeah,
I have had kids this age and I care like a parent cares, but I don't have an agenda like parents have, and I'm not saying that all parents have agendas or that it's bad, because 'cause I'm a parent and I have agendas for my own children, but I try not to have any of that with my clients, which because it's not helpful.
yeah.
Now, when you first started working with me, the first thing that your parents wanted you to work on was your aggression. And when you would get angry, you were pretty mean to your sister and you were mean to your parents. maybe mean to classmates. I can't remember that part of it, but and you would agree when we started talking that that was a problem or that was something that you dealt with. So tell us, where are you at now 3 years later with, aggression and anger?
I am so much better about that. Before, I wouldn't really take a second to kind of calm down or think. I would just act because I would build up or like bottle up all of these emotions, and I wouldn't really show people if I got offended by what they said or do something when somebody would like be mean to me. But then as soon as it was like a family member or a friend who like I knew that they couldn't really like leave me, like my sister couldn't stop being my sister if I was mean to her. So I took it out on her, and I'm definitely a lot better about that now. And I can kind of take a step back and calm down. Or when someone says something to me, I'll be like, that was mean. Or like I confront them about it now. And I don't have this built up anger and emotion that I just let out whenever I get the chance. So I'm a lot better about that now.
So what do you think it was about our working together that helped you with that? Like, can you remember a certain thing I said or did, or do you think it's just having somebody to talk to every week?
I really think it's a mixture of all of them. But I mean, I think a lot of it is just kind of taking like a second and peeling back the layers, as I call it, of just seeing where, like, to pinpoint where the anger is and be like, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't take it out on her because she didn't really do the thing wrong that I'm mad about. I'm mad about this, but I took it out on her. And kind of just like not focusing it where it belongs because I don't lash out like that anymore, but being able to not bottle it up as much and be able to talk about it with people, just like that kind of stuff.
Mhm. And when you started working with me, I wasn't the teen anxiety coach at that point. I was just sort of a general teen coach. I worked on whatever people came to me about, and I still do that for the most part, but I'm really focused on anxiety right now. And at while we worked together, you found out you also have anxiety. So, what are some anxiety things that you have learned that have been helpful to you?
Honestly, not listening to it.
Mm.
Or whenever I feel like my anxiety is taking over, just kind of being like going out of my comfort zone for that reason, to be able to say I didn't let it win and I didn't listen
Mhm.
to it within reason, obviously. But like
Mhm.
if I didn't want to go out with my friends that night because I wasn't feeling up for it, or not even that, just like, oh, they don't like me, they don't want to hang out with me. Like just being able to talk to you about that and then and then you saying like, no, they do, I promise they do, or just like being like, just go hang out with them, or don't listen to what your brain is telling you to not do. Like this podcast really like my brain was telling me like you don't want to do that, but then the other half of me was like I really do. I want to be able to help other people, or like if this reaches the right audience to be able to help them with it. So I want to do it, and I didn't listen to my anxiety.
Yeah, and you're doing great. So I love it. Another thing that we work on in my program is learning your strengths, your values, your preferred skills, and also your personality or your interests. And so we you went through the UMAP assessment and we learned all sorts of things about you. And how has that helped you, especially like learning your strengths? How has that helped you in your teenage time?
Probably the main one that's helped me is my command, because I use it all the time now. Whenever I like, and it helps me with my anxiety. Like, whenever I feel like I don't feel like people are listening to me, or I know what I'm doing, I don't want to like come up forward and say that I know what I'm doing, even if it's like answering a question in class or helping people with a group project. Like my command, I remind myself that I have that strength and I have it for a reason, and to use it and to be able to take on that leadership position and be able to guide people in the right direction.
Mm. So, has knowing that stuff helped you when you think about your future goals? And I know that you're still working on what do I want to do when I grow up stuff, but do you feel like knowing that is helping you to go in a certain direction now that you're getting halfway through high school?
I definitely think so, because I remember some sessions talking about like future jobs or like different things that I like to do that I would want to do in the future. And I remember bringing up my strengths a lot and being like, well, you have this strength, so a bunch of jobs that you can do are like this, and this. And it's really helped me like pinpoint kind of future jobs or just what I want to do in the future a lot clearer because I know like I'm really good at this, so it would be easy for me to do this job and just like different stuff like that.
Mhm. Has talking to me helped your relationship with your parents?
Yeah, a lot. I think that talking, like, I don't know, just it's helped me a lot. I don't like just being able to kind of pinpoint where I'm not going wrong with talking to my parents, but maybe that I'm not doing when I'm talking to my parents, or just like it just helps me.
Mhm. I remember there was a lot of fighting with your parents when probably the first year and a half that we talked, and I don't hear about them at all anymore. Like, we just focus on friends and just different things that are happening with you. I really can't even think of the last 6 months we've talked about your parents.
Yeah,
And
I think my relationship with my parents has gotten a lot closer because I just used to be like this bratty kid who didn't hear their side of the story and thought that they were always right. And you kind of like with my strengths, I learned how to see it from their perspective a lot more and being able to say like, well, maybe like da 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 that happened. So when I did this, it like just being able to kind of trace back where the fight happened or how to prevent it or just like different stuff like that.
Mhm. Do you think your parents have similar strengths that you do, or is it opposite, or can you really tell what your parents' strengths are just based on what you know about yourself?
I think my mom definitely has command. I think I her 100%.
I
Um,
would guess that to be true too, just the little that I know about her.
yes, and my dad definitely has one of my strengths, adaptability.
Mm,
Very go with the flow, easy person, and I learned that from him because I used to be really stressed out when plans would change or if we were
mhm,
planning on doing this and then we ended up doing this, I would be like, "Oh, wait, no, I don't want to." Like, and then he just like I would look over at him and he'd be okay with it, and I kind of learned like it's okay for plans to change and it's okay to have a different opinion about where we want to go or what we want to do, and I kind of learned how to take on the role from him.
mhm. I love that. Like, what would you say to parents who are thinking about, like, "I think my child needs help, but I don't know for sure what to do." What would be your words of encouragement about how maybe their family or their child could change if they were to work with me?
Well, I think that they would change a lot with you, ways that like they just need to trust you. Um, you know what you're doing and you're clearly really good at it. Like honestly, you're amazing at what you do and you really did help me a lot. And I tell this to my parents all the time, like the kid that I was when I joined your Zoom call 3 years ago was definitely not the kid today. Um,
Mhm,
better and I'm in a lot happier place now and honestly trust is the main thing. My parents really trust you and what you're doing and trust the process. Like it's not going
mhm.
to be overnight change, but you're going to gradually see how their emotion and how they process things and how they go about everyday life it's going to change.
Yeah, I love that. And, it's so true when you think about, you know, th and this is just typical the way everyone's life goes, but when we think since we have been together for 3 years, there
Yeah.
were times where things were good and then things would kinda crash down, and then we'd come back up again, and then there'd be a dip into, "Oh, I'm, having anger again," or, "My parents and I are fighting," and then we're up to good again, and now I feel like since we've kind of went up and down, now we're really stable. We're just, like, going along and, just going through life. You don't even probably hate school as much as you used to.
I don't think I do, honestly. I don't like,
Mhm.
I very much realized that last year, every time I'd wake up for school, I'd be like, "Oh, I don't want to." But you always told me that saying that you can't is going to make your brain think that you can't. Like, I can't go to school today. I can't. I don't want to. Like, all of that is going to make you not want to do it more. And like, as
Mhm.
soon as you change your mindset, like, I get to go to school. I want to go to school. I want to see my friends. That, like, your whole mindset changes. Like, I catch myself once in a while being like, I don't want to. And then, like, it seems like, but I get to. And I get to see
Mhm.
friends and I get to learn, get an education. And it, like, honestly just changes my whole mindset about it.
I love that. It's because and this is so good for me to hear this because I know we've had these conversations, but I never sometimes know what you really use in your life when I'm not with you. And so I that's good to know that you're actually using those things. Is there anything else that you would want parents, other teens, anyone else who's listening to know about this coaching or how it can be helpful, anything like that?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. Honestly, I was definitely where you are right now and probably will be even further in the future because I'm going to keep saying her. But being able to say that you need help or that you want help, you're making yourself a lot stronger than if you just hide behind saying that you want help, but you're too afraid to
Mm,
ask for it. Being able to upfront say that you want help with how you're acting or how like your mental health is or just anything like that makes you a lot stronger than you think you are.
I love that. Well, Izzy, thank you so much for being with us today. I am so proud of you, and I practically feel like you're my own child. And so I'm so glad that I got to share you with my audience, and maybe you'll be back again sometime.
We'll see.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.